Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S. back with another video after spilling tea on myself. Hope everyone's well as ever. Obviously this is part 3 of my plans for, I suppose, Wednesdays. Anywho, hope someone out there will enjoy it, for as many people as possible, especially from Africa and Asia and people of colour. And I hope to promote women rights of colour and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to try and get on with the list. I don't want the video to be too long, and I hope people out there will enjoy it. I hope I won't be too repetitive. And here goes. So number 21, I said I'm not going to use Facebook except for sharing my YouTube videos, except for Friday, because they blocked me from posting to groups or something like that. They blocked. So I thought, if they're going to block some of my posts, I'm going to stop using them for a little bit, or not use them as much as I usually do. So anyway, got a vendetta against Facebook. I'm just kidding. But anyway, my dad phoned me yesterday, reminded me that it's one of my brother's birthdays. So I think I'm going to send him a message to wish him the best for his birthday, of course, and hope he has a good one and is blessed and all that sort of stuff. So anywho, so that was 21, something to remember. And also point number 21 is that I hope to encourage people from Africa and Asia to write up their own ideas about history, their own opinions and views about history, and what happened during colonial times and things like that. If it was really as good as some people say, or as bad as some people say, or whatever, what their opinions are, what their the facts as far as they know it about that sort of stuff. So, and expressing themselves about history and talking about the positive sides of Asian and African history as well. But again, like, a lot of people in the UK or the US say that colonialism brought some great things to Africa, so and Asia, and I'd love to hear what people from Africa and Asia think about that in their honest opinions. So yeah, I'd love to see them writing up and drawing arts and things like that about their expressions about their opinions on colonialism and things like that. Number 22, I hope to look to the future and how Asia and Africa can, as I say, promote its work generally, and things like dyslexic. I hope to come up with some quirky ideas like Asia's or Africa's dyslexic authors, which is a play on words because like it's dyslexia. Often we dyslexics, or many of us at least, transpose letters. Like when I was at school, I was taught to spell and all that, but with dyslexics, we need to be taught differently. So I hope to raise awareness about dyslexia in Asia and Africa. And I think there's been some good work being done in Africa and possibly even in Asia as well with dyslexia awareness. And to be honest, quite a lot of that work, I've got to say, has been done by some great women in Africa, especially that most of the ones I've seen have been women in Africa who have done some really great work. So that gives me a better impression of women, I suppose. But anywho, I've got to be careful what I say, I suppose. But yeah, I think they've been doing some great work. And I mentioned dyslexia because my project idea about Asia's and Africa's dyslexic authors, a little bit of a copy on an idea about brain brine or something that's called, or I think it's like some dyslexic writers with deliberately misspelt words and things like that. But the point is that what I'm trying to make is that dyslexic people, in spite of having problems with reading and writing, can still become authors, writers, whatever you call it. And I love those who with dyslexia have become writers to go and mentor people in Africa and Asia, and again possibly to have events in Egypt where they can do stuff like that and talk about you can still become a writer, author, or whatever you want to call it, and express yourself, whether you're dyslexic or not, or even dyslexic people can still create great work, because a lot of writing is not just about how you spell things. In fact, if you're a really good speller, it doesn't mean you're going to be a great writer, because it doesn't mean you're going to be able to write entertaining things or things that people are going to read. I'd love to hear your opinions as ever about that, but I've heard there's quite a few dyslexic authors who are really good. So I'd love people in Asia to find out that, because some people in Africa and Asia will probably think that a dyslexic person can't become an author, and they also, and possibly this is true for around the world, and they also probably a dyslexic author is probably discouraged, a dyslexic person in Asia or Africa is probably discouraged, and again around the world, from becoming an author because they're dyslexic, but actually you can still do it. So that wasn't really a rant, it was just, I don't know what to call it. But anyway, yeah, so I'd love dyslexic people also show, there's certainly many dyslexic artists, that's another area where, well, that is an area where dyslexic people can really thrive, and as well as autistic people. I love autistic and dyslexic, possibly people with ADHD, to write and also to draw pictures and like do artwork to promote Pan-Asianism and Pan-Africanism, and also Asia and Africa working together. I call it AA, like Asia and Africa, or AAA, like the Asian and African Alliance, where they network together, like, or AAP, the Asian and Africa Partnership, or Asia to Africa Partnership, or AAN, AAN, or whatever, the Asian to African Network, things like that. So I hope for people with dyslexia and autism to come up with, and ADHD as well, to come up with, so neurodiverse people basically, to come up with arguments of why Pan-Asianism, Pan-Africanism, and Asia to Africa cooperation as well would be a great thing. And I hope they'll come up with ideas, but also be able to express those ideas, as I say, through pictures and writing, and possibly bullet lists about why that would be good and all that sort of stuff, including myself, but also Asian, also dyslexics or people from a neurodiverse background from Asia and Africa itself. So anyway, sorry, that was a long point for number 22. But 23, I hope to look into all possible ways of fundraising for Asian and African artists, again, poets, writers, authors, so on and so forth. Basically works, but to create their own work and to be encouraged to create their own works and that kind of thing. 24, again, I hope to promote Asian and African, Pan-Asianism and Pan-Africanism, and look at what they have in common, and democracy and anti-imperialism and human rights and animal rights across Asia and Africa as well. And also things like water aid, which I forgot to mention in part 23, so that we can look at how we can give water aid to people from Asia and Africa and ensure they have enough water and food, hopefully tackle poverty in Asia and Africa, and by working together and coming up with ideas and seeing how we can put those ideas into practice, implement them and all that sort of thing. 25, as I often say, I hope to promote republicanism, and again, Asian and African artists, including those from neurodiverse backgrounds, dyslexia and autism, perhaps again to and ADHD and so forth, to write and draw pictures about why republicanism is a great form of potentially great system, and ideas again about how to have the cheapest form of government, so and that sort of thing. Number 26. Again, I hope to promote anti-imperialism, and for anti-imperialists like myself around the world, even not just in Asia and Africa, but around the world, to support Asia and Africa, anyone who supports anti-imperialism or justice, to support Asia and Africa and help them to network together and look again what they have in common. 27, I hope to have rewards for, or Asian and African nations to have rewards, like Britain has the knighthood. Asian and African nations could have people like awards or honours for services to the Republic, or services to each Asian and African nation, or to Asian and African, Pan-Asianism, Pan-Africanism, and Asia to African nation relations and things like that, and also have award ceremonies where they honour those who have contributed to tackling poverty, or to people's work, or to art, writing, creativity, and all that sort of stuff across Asia and Africa. 28, I also hope to talk about Central Africa symbolically, if it could make peace, becoming a hub for both, for Africa itself, like Pan-Africanism, and Central Asia could probably be a hub for Pan-Asianism specifically as well. And especially the country Central Africa for symbolically, because that would be a great thing, because, in my opinion, because Central Africa unfortunately is like at war with itself, and there's lots of division in Africa. And I think symbolically, because it's central, it's like kind of in the center, so it can symbolically be a hub to create Pan-Africanism, and hopefully, if it makes peace, that would be another great thing. And from a negative situation, go into a really positive and be a role model for the rest of Africa and that sort of thing. Every possible Central African nation, especially, but in particular, Central Africa itself. Um, 29, I hope to encourage, as I said before, people of colour to support Asian and African works, writings, art, and stuff like that. Sorry if I repeat a lot of these points. And I also hope to have events in South Africa, similarly, and because of apartheid, people of colour and especially mixed race people supporting South Africa and things like that. And number 30, basically, I hope to do what I can as best I can every single day and sort out my paperwork and be motivated and keep moving forward, and also to go for walks. And sorry if this video is really long. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Please ask any questions or leave any comments. I really welcome, and certainly likes and sharing the video. Peace and love.